Discord, and I know there'll be some other folks that'll be joining. I'll let them in as we go, but we've got some very fun and exciting things to talk about in the 10K challenge. This is really a team and a toolkit to get your business consistently above 10K so you can increase your impact. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means in a minute. And there are several of you that are members and several of you that are not. Just so you know, we run a couple of events a month. They are open to all of our community. You do not have to be a member to attend. We do that for two reasons. One, obviously, we want you to get introduced to us in case you decide that we can help you grow. But also just because we want to help you grow. And so we teach you a lot of the same things we teach our members. We just do it in a slightly different way, which I'll talk about in a minute. So we got two other events coming up. The Business Growth Power Hour, which is a great way to collaborate with other entrepreneurs to get new ideas to grow. And then also in early February, we've got something called the Power Game, which is based on brain science and how do athletes get themselves into the frame of mind where they regain their power and take control of their mind. I'm going to be using one of those tools here today in the 10K challenge. So come join us for any of our free events. My background is I'm older than I look. I'm almost 60. I was president of an internet company, and our parent did an internet IPO. Basically, we went public on the NASDAQ stock exchange way back in 1999. And I learned a lot from that experience. And then I shortly thereafter, after 9/11, I left that company, started my own business, sold it, and had this crazy idea in 2009 when I sold that business that I want to just put all of my resources to making a difference and making money. It was harder than I thought it would be, but here I am today. And I have a purposeful Shark Tank called Share on Purpose. We invest in businesses that make the world better. And then in addition to that, that's called the Speculator Fund. In addition to that, we have cultivated our own businesses as well. So Succeed on Purpose was business number 1. Ignite on Purpose was business number 2. You can see a theme here. Promote on Purpose was business number 3. Business number 4 was Talent on Purpose. And then ShiftCo, which you're participating in today, was business number 5. I'm blessed to have an amazing leadership team. They run the vast majority of these businesses, which allows me to really work in ShiftCo, which is where my passion is. So that's my background. And a lot of the methods that we're going to be talking about today, I've used for myself. I've coached thousands and thousands of conscious entrepreneurs over the years. And what I can tell you is the reason why we call it the 10K challenge is it's not as easy as most people think to get your business consistently above 10K. Now, you might have a lifestyle business. A lifestyle business is, hey, I really like doing this, but I don't want to work a lot of hours. That's fine. Believe it or not, you still can get that business above 10K a month. And there's a reason why that matters, which I'll talk about. And I also want to talk about the power of conscious entrepreneurship and why I believe it really matters to conscious entrepreneurs. So let's get started with what's so important about 10K and 10K a month. So there's a couple of statistics I want to share with you because most people don't realize this. Of all of the businesses, this is just the United States, but it's very similar in Canada and it's very similar in Europe. I know we've got lots of members in Canada and about 20 or so members in Europe. The statistics are basically the same. So the vast majority of businesses, 24.8 million of them, 81% of all companies don't have any employees. That means they're either a solopreneur or a micropreneur. Only about 6 million in the US, 20% have employees. So when you really look at that and you say, okay, 81% of all businesses that are out there that are providing income for people don't have employees. And I've been very fascinated by that. And then I've also been fascinated by the employee firms and kind of breaking those down into some different statistics. But I want to just leave you with basically 8 out of 10 businesses are like you. They're somewhere between 0 and maybe 15K, and they're they're basically working to pay the bills for themselves. And I think that there's a better way, and I want to try to help you get there. So the other stat that I like to put up here is what's called a business exit. A business exit is when somebody quits or leaves or sells their business, because this will really yield some perspective on why the 10K challenge has been so successful. Basically, of all of the businesses of all of the sizes I've just mentioned, 70% exit, 30% remain a going concern. Okay, so that's sobering. And then of those who exit, which means they quit their business, they sold it, the majority of it happens in the first couple of years. And particularly 50%. So it goes 20, and then we add another 10, it goes to 30, and it goes all the way up to 50 exit within the 5th year, which means they probably quit. Typically, if you can make it a past 5 years, that 50 to 70, a lot of those are businesses that are selling and merging. But a lot of this, the 70% that you see here are people that get tired and they start deciding maybe a job is a better way to go. Gosh, is there an easier way? Maybe I should just start a franchise, all of those things that all of us have thought. And I want to break down the 10K challenge is designed so that you don't have to exit. You don't need to go work for somebody else. You don't need to start a franchise. You actually can scale what you love doing. And that's what we're talking about today. Now, of this, these business exits, my personal experience, again, I'm older than I look. I've been consulting with businesses for 30 years, 3 decades. I've been coaching entrepreneurs and teaching entrepreneurs for 15 years. My experience is 20% of people realize how hard it is to start a business, and they stop before they start. And those of you that are, a couple of you are in Shift Code that are in this phase, it's scary. And so basically 2 out of 10 of people, they start and they're like, oh, this is too hard, and they stop. And I want to help you change that. If you fall into that category, I want to show you how to get past that hurdle where you keep going. The second group, another 10%, they try for another year. They bounce around from one program to another, a different coach to another. And it's kind of like being on a treadmill. I'm making some progress, but I'm not actually getting anywhere. By year 5, a total of 15% of those businesses, particularly the solopreneurs, they've returned to corporate America because it feels easier than being an entrepreneur. Notice I say feels easier. It is not easier, particularly in the uncertain economic climate that we are in, that is only going to intensify. It feels easier, but it is not. So 50% of those businesses, that bugs me, right? It really, really bugs me. The remaining group, they either sell, merge, or transition. So we're not talking about that, right? Because if your business isn't above 10K, it's not something you can sell. We're talking about these other categories. So what I always like to do is, rather than looking at the 70%, I like to look at the 30%. So the 30% who kept their business and it worked, what do they have in common? And it really boils down to a couple of things. First, the business felt more to them than just a source of income, meaning they were driven by making a difference. They wanted to make an impact. I'll bet you, if you had one of those gut check moments where you thought about going back and just giving this business entrepreneurship up, or your spouse said, what are you doing? Quit doing this, go get a job. If any of that happened, probably what kept you going was your soulfulness, your heart saying, no, I want to make a difference. And we can leverage that. The second thing is they mastered something called FD squared. What I have found in my research unequivocally is you've got to have FD squared for the business to scale. What is FD squared? It stands for fit, meaning we're going to build a business that fits who you are naturally. And we're going to build it around your passions. We're going to build it around your strengths. We're going to build it around your purpose. We're going to build it around the ways that you like to work. For example, I'm a certain type of an entrepreneur, and I have built a portfolio of businesses that fit me. Somebody else might be a different kind of entrepreneur, and they don't want to do it that way. They want to do it their way. So what I have found in my research is to get above 10K, the business has to fit you. It's the key to fulfillment. So that's number one. Number two, that's the F. The first D is differentiation. Differentiation means to be different in a way that matters to your buyer. And that is the key, ironically, to making your business more simple. Is it's got to be different in a way that matters to your buyer. Now, a lot of times when I hear people introduce themselves, they've got really cool ways of introducing themselves that sound great, but it doesn't necessarily matter to your buyer. So that's going to be one of the things I'll challenge you with. And then the second D is demand. And demand is creating a system where you're providing value rather than promotion. And that's a way to grow your business consistently. So what I have found is any business that scales needs to have FD squared. So kind of make a note here and assess, where do you think, how do you, give yourself a grade, A, B, C. A is I'm on it, B is I'm okay, and C is I need to do some work here. So just kind of grade yourself in each of these areas, and then we're going to move forward. We're going to talk about the phases of moving through 10K. And if anybody has a question, you can ask it. But I want you kind of to self-assess while we're doing that. I'll give you about a minute to do that. Okay, so needless to say, ShiftCo teaches every one of our members under 10K. We are going to teach you FD squared because you have to have it to scale. It's not negotiable. I've done enough research on enough companies. You've got to have fit, differentiation, and demand. You can't scale a business you're not passionate about. You can't scale a business where you're talking about the business in a way that you like talking about it, but it doesn't land with your buyer. And you can't scale the business unless you have a consistent way to generate demand for it. So what is so darn magical about 10K? Well, the first thing is there's a lot of things that I don't like doing in my business. I don't know about you. I don't like doing accounting. I don't like the detail work of social media. I like social media, but I don't like the details. And I could go on and on. The first most magical thing about 10K is it gives you money and resources to hire people to help you with those areas. So that's number one. And that is a game changer. When you can actually, when your business gets a little bit larger and you can bring on an intern or a virtual assistant or a social media coordinator or somebody to help you with the things you don't enjoy, it really gives your business velocity. The second thing is you get to focus more on the work you actually enjoy. One of my favorite things to do with people in the 10K challenge is what happens when we're under 10K is we start doing lots of different stuff to try to make enough money to pay the bills. And we help you kind of scale that back to the things you actually like. And we scale those things. Third is on 10K a month, you can build a very nice retirement nest egg. Very nice on 10K a month. If you manage your money properly, you can take your family on vacation, and you can also invest in yourself. So the 10K number isn't about the money. It's really about the quality of life you're going to have in your business. So that's number one. And with conscious entrepreneurs, I see this interesting dilemma where we're like, wait a minute, I'm not really motivated by money. And I'm going to challenge that. I'm not motivated by money either. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not motivated by money. But what I can tell you emphatically, although I'm not motivated by money, I know I've got to grow and scale the business profitably so that I can make a bigger impact. One of my favorite entrepreneurs is a guy named James Creedon, and he has a phrase that says, no money, no mission. So if you're kind of debating that a little bit and you're uncomfortable with that 10K number and you're like, well, I'm not really motivated by money, I'm going to say, so what? I'm not motivated by money either. But what we need is we need to grow the business so that it's healthy. And when it's healthy, we can give back, and we can make a bigger impact. So just kind of let that sit in. And I really do believe our business grows as we evolve. So the second thing I want you just to take a note about is, what if you could build a business that made a difference and created financial freedom for you? So just think about that for just a second. What if you could build a business that made a difference, it made an impact, but it also gave you financial freedom? It allowed you to take vacations. It allowed you to put your kids through school. It allowed you to actually build a retirement nest egg. What if you could do that? So just kind of write that question down, and just sit with it. I'm going to give you about a minute. It's going to be one of the homework assignments you're going to have, but what if you could actually do that? What would that look like? About a minute. All right, so now we're going to look at 4 subphases from 0 to 10. And you're now going to look at where you are on this journey, okay? So the first phase that you're going to hit is new or lifestyle. I want to make an impact in the world, but the but could be fear, but I'm afraid. The but could be, I don't want to work, 40 hours a week or more. The but could be, I want to have time to travel because my significant other is retiring. The but could be anything. But if you're in that 0 to 3K a month consistently, it's a new or a lifestyle business, and there's some but there. So if this is you, just own it, right? And we're going to, feel free to take a picture of the screen if that helps you, but we're going to examine that but. So that's the first phase that you would go on this journey. The second phase is, my business is growing, but if I told myself the truth, I don't really enjoy my clients, or I don't really enjoy the building of the business. And this is a really challenging place. It tends to show up between 2 to 5K a month. And it's challenging because we've been doing all these things and building this business, but something's just not, it's just not feeding our soul the way we thought it would. So if that's you, kind of make note of that. We'll come back to these and go a little deeper in a minute. The third step is, I love it, but I just feel like I don't have enough time. I'm stuck in this get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And this is a very frustrating place to be. And typically this shows up somewhere between 4 to 7K a month, where it's like you're on this treadmill. It's like, okay, we're making some progress, but gosh, I've got so many things going on. I can't build the business. Oh, I got to go get some more work. Oh, I got some more work, and we're making some progress. And oh, now I don't have any time. And so there's nothing wrong with the business. It's just that we're stuck, and we're stuck in this get the work, do the work. So if that's you, just kind of make a note of that. And then the last piece is, I think I'm ready for liftoff. I feel like it fits me. I feel like I love it. I feel like it's differentiated, but I can't figure out how to put the rocket juice to it so that it takes off. And that typically shows up around 6K a month consistently. So just kind of take note of where you are. We're going to examine these here and go a little bit deeper. I just want to make sure. Yeah. Some folks are acknowledging where you are. I love that. No right, no wrong. I've been in all of these phases more than once, and it is what it is. And you just got to look at it and be honest. So let's break these 4 phases down. The first phase is the newer lifestyle. It's going to be about 0 to 3K a month. The things you're thinking is, I really want to impact the world. I really want to make a difference. Your behavior is, you tend to overthink things. Your actions are inconsistent related to demand and lead generation. So it's like, oh, I get really charged up and then I stop doing it. And then I get really charged up and then I stop doing it. And the net is, you're not moving the business forward. Okay, so it's kind of like you start off maybe at the beginning of the year really strong, but you just get stuck. Second phase is I'm growing, but something is off. Typically that's 2 to 5K. And this is if you told yourself the truth, you don't enjoy the clients or you don't enjoy the business. Some of the things you would see in your behavior is you're just not as motivated as you used to be. You're not sure if it's the work or the clients. The business feels heavy. You're not sure what to do. There's a lot of uncertainty in this phase. Third phase is there's just not enough time to grow it. You know, it's around 4 to 7K a month. I love what I do, but I'm in this get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And you just feel like you've been there for a while. And it just, you feel this constraint that there's not enough time to get new clients to grow to the next level. And then the fourth stage is I'm scalable, I'm ready to go. Usually your business is above 6K, but you can't figure out how to get it going. Can't figure out how to make it scalable and step on the gas. Here, your fit is on target. You've got differentiation and demand, but we just need more. And we're not quite sure how to do that. So what we've done in our research is we've developed 4 strategies. The first strategy, if you're here, is called Jumpstart. And Jumpstart is really getting yourself past the resistance. So, and Jumpstart is pushing yourself out of the fear zone into the learning zone where you move forward and you're getting your kind of nervous system and your brain working together, which I'll talk more about in a minute. The second one we call passion pivot. And a lot of our members have made passion pivots where we've retooled the business so that they enjoy it more. Third phase we call business simple. Business simple is tricky because we're balancing revenue, we're balancing profit, and we're balancing the scalability of the business. And then the fourth phase we call growth sprint. And growth sprint is where we really start to light it up. And the business then breaks the 10K barrier. And if you keep your growth sprint infrastructure in place, the business will stay above 10K. So just kind of digest that for a second. I'm going to give you strategies for these in a minute. You're going to literally walk away with things that you can put into play. But just kind of, again, it's just a way to tell yourself the truth about where you really are and where you need to focus. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do that. And then we're going to work on some strategies today so you can get charging. Okay, so a couple of strategies, 3 biggies, and I call these AIM. To break the 10K barrier and break it consistently. If you break the 10K barrier and your business slides back, you did not break the 10K barrier. All you did was have a good month. And from my experience, I have not met a business that you cannot get above 10K comfortably, meaning it's still reasonable work hours. Now, it takes some work and we've got to redo some things and adjust some things, but you can get a business, any business, above 10K by making some modifications. And I've kind of rolled it into this strategy I call AIM. The first one is alter your energy to strengthen your focus. And we're going to do this and you're going to feel what I mean by this. You're literally we're going to use our parasympathetic nervous system to change the way we think so we can focus. One of the big challenges in businesses under 10K is as we struggle with focus. So Leah, I want to just, before I get too deep into this, what if you have elements from multiple categories? Is it best to start at the lowest level? I don't believe it is, Leah. I believe by the end of going through the AIM here, you're going to know which one is where we need to focus. And focus is really the name of the game beyond 10K. I mean, to break 10K, if you're trying to implement 2 different business models, it's really hard to get above 10K. If you're trying to do too many different things in your programs, it's difficult to get above 10K. If you've got this kind of part of your business over here and this kind of business over here, it's really hard to get above 10K. So there's lots of things that you're probably faced with. But the kind of ranking of them is, you got to love it first and foremost. You've got to focus and tighten it up. And then we really have to make sure we have fit, differentiation, and demand. So I don't believe going back to the lowest level. I think it's more important to diagnose what the one thing is. We're going to actually go through that exercise in a minute. So you're going to get a chance to do that. So back to these 3 strategies. AIM. First is altering your energy to strengthen your focus. The biggest breakthrough I've had as an entrepreneur and as a conscious entrepreneur is a methodology to change the way I think by basically hijacking my nervous system. And we're going to do that today. It's super easy to do. And if you do it consistently, you will be shocked at how much easier it will be to maintain focus and to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So that's going to be number 1. That's the A. Number 2 is an intention, so that you are clear on what you want and why you want it. Too often we're reacting to the business. This happened, I better do this. This happened, I better do this. Oh, that didn't work, I better do that. And we're literally like the tail wagging the dog, right? That's one of the things we have to change is after we alter our energy, we've got to set a clear intention on what it is that we want and why we want it. So you're going to get a chance to do that today. And then third is you got to teach yourself how to make moves rather than be in motion. I'm going to save that because that's one of my favorite things. But to be honest, the first most important one is learning how to alter your energy to strengthen your mental focus. So we're going to start with that. Actually, let me just check and see if there's any questions before I go any deeper. Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So we're going to start with this. This is game changing. So here's, this is brain science, guys. This is not Terri. Terri just developed the method to leverage brain science. I'm a big geek. So I study this kind of stuff for fun. So, the amygdala in your brain is a very important aspect of your brain. It's where your ego operates from. It's where your personality is created. Your amygdala processes emotions and links them to memories. So what would happen is the amygdala is forming in your first 12 years of life. And let's say that you didn't get picked for the kickball team in elementary school, and you told yourself, oh, I'm not good enough. Well, that's a memory. If at the point in time you had that event happen and you had that thought in that memory, but you also had an emotion connected to it, like disappointment, shame, guilt, frustration, then that emotion and that memory are linked, and it is stuck in your amygdala. And every time you try to do something new, that memory comes back, and the amygdala basically says, girl, don't go there. We've tried this before and we failed. Play it safe. And so the amygdala is basically running promotions. I mean, not promotions, it's running programs. And those programs are running you, and it affects your memory, it affects your focus, it affects how you emotionally react. If you're feeling a lot of fear, it's because your amygdala needs to be corrected. And all of our habits are stored in the amygdala. An example of that is when I get stressed, I go to Wendy's or Chick-fil-A or pizza, I eat unhealthy food. That is a stored program in my amygdala that I have finally hijacked and fixed, basically. So the amygdala is this processor. It's where your ego is, that is processing the things that have happened in your past and your memories and the emotions you had. And it's basically trying to protect you. And it's basically saying, okay, don't go out of the cave because there's a dinosaur out of the cave and we don't want to go there. And don't try out for the kickball team because when we tried it when we were 9, we didn't get picked. Don't go ask that customer, to go to lunch with you because we don't want to be disappointed. I didn't get to go to the prom with so-and-so, yada, yada, yada. So the amygdala has a very important purpose, but unfortunately, a lot of our core habits and a lot of our fears and a lot of our anxiety is stuck there, and those programs are running us. So what we can do is we can change that. Now I'm going to use a graphic from Positive Intelligence, and then I'm going to show you the method that I created to change this. But if you're familiar with Positive Intelligence, I absolutely love it. And what they uncovered through their research is the amygdala is basically processing this chemical flow in your brain that is shooting either cortisol, if you're afraid, into the negative side. So it will put cortisol into your system, and the amygdala is processing all of this. But you can change it from the survive and the negative side. You can change it and you can create it so that it operates positively. So when I read this and started doing the Positive Intelligence program and became a coach for them, several years ago, I was like, wow, I want to develop a method to do that consistently and easily. And so that's what I'm going to share with you is we're going to hijack our nervous system. We're going to do it right here today. You're going to feel it so that you get the processor, the amygdala, that basically operates another way, and it creates a little baby new pathway. And if you repeat what we do today multiple times a day within a couple of weeks, your amygdala is going to have a new program. It does not take long. So the way that we do it is we use the second part of our brain that is very important, called the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex regulates our thoughts and our actions and emotions through extensive connections with other brain regions. So this process that we're going to use, so just imagine this, we're going to turn our amygdala off. We're going to turn our prefrontal cortex on, and the prefrontal cortex is like a traffic cop. And the prefrontal cortex is basically going to give the amygdala a new program. And again, we're going to walk through this right here today. Now, we use this in something called Prosperity Challenge. It's super effective. It's included in membership. It's something I created in I created in Succeed. But what it requires is clearing our energy, but you have to do it in a certain way, because what we got to do is we've got to stop the amygdala. We've got to turn on the prefrontal cortex, and we basically have to get our nervous system working with us. And that's basically what you're going to see in a minute. I'm going to do it. Then you basically move your energy back into the present so that the prefrontal cortex takes over. And then when the prefrontal takes over, it gives new information to the rest of your brain. And all of a sudden, your brain starts to respond very differently. And then from there, you can claim your desires. The best thing is you'll move into this beautiful state of certainty. A state of certainty is when you're no longer hijacked by fear. I'm going to give you the technique today. You're going to do it. You're going to feel it. And if you do it a couple of times a day, every single day, the way that we show you, and it takes minutes, you will literally retrain your brain and your nervous system to not be afraid, to not feel anxious, to not be hijacked by fear. And it doesn't take long. So it's to do this, it's very simple. It's 3 steps. The steps I call ABC. I like to make things easy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge whatever it is that's stressing us out. Now, this acknowledge, and there's a way to do the acknowledge. This acknowledge is very simple, and you'll see it in just a minute. So there's a way to do it. And what it does is when we acknowledge in a certain way, the amygdala literally stops being in whatever gear it is, and it puts itself in neutral, and it says, okay, wait, prefrontal cortex, give me some new information. And it literally waits, it turns almost like a human. I've stopped, I'm not going anywhere. Prefrontal cortex, give me some new information. And that's basically the key to programming. Then the second step is breathing. When we breathe a certain way, the prefrontal cortex turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. It's literally like flips a switch, and then all of a sudden you feel differently. And then the prefrontal cortex turns back to the amygdala. It's like, hey, everything is great. Run this program instead of the program you were running. It's that simple. And then lastly is we just connect. And when we, from that present moment, whatever we intend next resets the brain. Now, again, we're going to do it. So this is how you do it. I mean, this is what you do. Now we're going to actually do it. All right. So here's how it works to clear our energy. And I'm going to go back to the brain science part of this, because this, although I use energy, I am literally, this is from brain science. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge whatever the program is the amygdala is running. And the way in which you do that is you say, the truth is I feel, and whatever it is that's there is going to come up. So I want you to, you're all on mute, do this with me, because you doing it out loud, you're going to feel it. So you're going to say, the truth is I feel frustrated or scared or tired, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Everybody do it out loud, put on mute. The truth is I feel frustrated, scared, anxious, doesn't matter. All right, give you about 15 seconds for everybody to do that. The truth is I feel. Now check your body. Notice how something is kind of slowed down. What that is the amygdala has just turned off and it is turned over to the prefrontal cortex. And it's like, new information. I'm waiting on new information. There's something about the phrase, the truth is, and saying the phrase out loud, the truth is I feel, that causes the amygdala to basically go into neutral, which is what we need because it's running us. Now, the prefrontal cortex is over here, and I'm going to have you do it again so you can feel it again. Prefrontal cortex is over here going, oh, hey, amygdala, stop. I'm waiting for new information. All right. And we're going to basically program it in a minute. So do that again. We're doing the A. The truth is I feel frustrated, whatever it is. Do it again. I'll give you about 15 seconds to do it. And just notice how you feel differently in your body and your head. You're going to feel like this little pause in you. That's your brain. Okay, now we do the B. The B is 4 breaths a certain way. You breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Breath number 2, exactly the same. Notice how you feel. I'm going to tell you why you feel that way in a minute. Breath number 3. Breath number 3, I like to go a little deeper and kind of empty all the air out of my lungs. And then breath number 4 is kind of like a ah. Notice how you feel. What you've just done is the prefrontal cortex has now activated your parasympathetic nervous system. And it's like, oh, great. Life is good. I'm going to dump some serotonin and some dopamine into your bloodstream. And basically, the breathing that way, when you have just acknowledged, it won't work if you skip A, by the way, because if the amygdala is still running, it's not going to work. If you do, the truth is I feel, and then you follow it with those 4 breaths, the prefrontal cortex says, great, everything is wonderful. I'm going to dump serotonin and dopamine into your bloodstream. And all of a sudden the amygdala says, oh yeah, life is good. Run the life is good program. Run the everything is wonderful program. And now all of a sudden the amygdala has got a baby little program that it's now running. Now it's baby, like you have to do it repeatedly to break the habit, but it's powerful. And then the last step, and this last step is also important, you can't do it without doing all 3 steps, is after you've done those 4 breaths, you're just going to kind of connect to the present moment. I like to kind of put my hands on my heart and just breathe into my center. What that does is it allows those positive chemicals to really move into my lungs, move into my organs and my heart. And I almost kind of like go, oh, good, serotonin and dopamine, you feel so good. And I just allow them just to move through my body, almost like they're just kind of moving through my body. And I just kind of connect and I just feel that goodness. What that does is that really strengthens the amygdala with this new program. Powerful. what I have, we teach this to all of the ShiftCo members, needless to say, and they go through an extensive program to master it. But if you do this 2 to 3 times a day for 3 to 4 weeks, that fear, that anxiety, that stress is going to be minimized. And it will not be the big bear that it is today. But more importantly, what it does is it allows you to go after what you want, claim your desires, but to do so in a state of certainty. The state of certainty is key, and it's why the Prosperity Challenge is so effective. You can't build a business if you're constantly second guessing yourself. You can't build a business if you're in fear. You can't build a business if you're, get the work, do the work. Oh, I'm afraid to get more work. Like, you can't do that. You've got to be feeling certainty, and that amygdala and the prefrontal cortex have to be in sync with your parasympathetic nervous system so that you feel confident, you feel certain that you can do it. And again, the beautiful thing is it doesn't take that long to program. It just takes a simple habit that you can get into like that. The other really cool thing about altering your energy using those ABCs is you now can focus. Think about how those cobwebs are gone right now, right? So the cobwebs that you probably had, the kind of fuzziness, they're gone right now. So now it's like, okay, what's next, Terri? Like you're kind of like sitting there going, what's next? Because we've just altered our energy to strengthen our focus. And now we can focus. So what comes next is setting an intention. But intentions don't work if you don't have that clear energy and you're not in that state of certainty. So now that we've altered our energy and we can focus, we're now going to set an intention to go after what it is that we want and why we want it. And then we're going to learn how to make moves. The trick here is we can't focus on symptoms. We've got to focus on root causes. Because if we're distracted by the 5 things we need to do in our business, we're not going to do any one of them well. So what we teach all of our members is how to identify and focus on one thing and have that one thing be very, very powerful. So for example, when somebody comes to the 10K challenge and I say, okay, what's your greatest challenge? They'll almost always say, I don't have enough clients or enough revenue. And if that's just kind of like, think about that. If I said, what's your greatest challenge? Most of you would say that. Challenge is, that's a symptom. That's a symptom. It's not a root cause. It's a symptom. It's not a root cause. When you don't have enough clients or revenue, it's a symptom of something else. And your focus is bifurcated, meaning you're focused on too many things rather than the one thing you need to do to move forward. So examples of root causes: do you have enough leads? Are you having enough conversations? You probably need to have 20 active leads that you are working to always have enough clients, period. You probably need about 20. So how do we get 20? Well, that fear's coming back. I feel that I don't know how to get 20. Yes, you do. Go back and do those ABCs, clear it out a little bit. If you don't have enough leads, if you don't have 20 active leads that you're in some form of conversation with, you're going to struggle. So maybe you just need more leads. And again, if that fear comes back, just do the ABCs again. It is not that hard to create leads if you know how, right? Maybe it's not. You got plenty of leads, but they're not buying. You're talking to many, many people. And I'm going to this networking event, I'm doing that thing, and I've got lots and lots of leads, but they're not buying. That's a different root cause. That's a differentiation issue. Maybe it just feels like there's not enough time to scale, or the services aren't clear enough, or they're not consistent enough. It doesn't matter. But what we're trying to do with this exercise is we're trying to define one root cause of the gap. The gap is, I don't have enough revenue or customers, but the question is why? Why do I not have enough leads? Am I not doing enough activity to get leads? So if you don't have enough leads, why? Are you not doing enough activity? Are you afraid? So you literally are going to deconstruct this process. So take a minute or so before you ask questions, and then if people are listening later, you can hit the pause, is I want you to just kind of try to see if you can figure out what the root cause is. And then I'm going to actually take a couple of questions here in a minute, and we're going to help you guys to find the root cause. All right, anybody want to kind of ask some clarifying questions so we can help the group? Or do you think you got it?
Terri, I have a question
Yeah, Jennifer.
that I'm going to try not to make super specific to myself. So I think in this, the drilling down of those questions, like I have my why, I'm looking at like what the root cause is, but then I feel like there's the root cause. Like I'm like, what else could I do? Answering the why, I guess it's hard to answer the why. Do you have some suggestions on how we can drill down to answer, create more questions to understand why is this happening or not happening, as the case may be?
Absolutely. And I call it the 5 whys. So the first thing is, why don't I have the reason why? The truth is, the reason why I don't have enough leads is I'm not networking enough. Like, if you just ask yourself, the truth is, the reason why I don't have enough leads, what comes up? And let's say I'm going to do it like for myself. The truth is, I don't have enough leads. The reason why I don't have enough leads is I'm not networking enough. The truth is, I'm not networking enough because I'm doing too many other things. Oh, the truth is, I'm doing too many other things because I've got too much on my plate. The truth is, I've got too much on my plate because I've got Atlas syndrome and I want to save the world at the sacrifice of my business. You kind of see how that works? And so you can use the 5 whys to just say, okay, the reason why I don't have enough, the truth is, the reason why I don't have enough revenues or clients is because I don't have enough leads. And then you just literally peel it back. The truth is, I don't have enough leads because, and it'll basically, your own soul will lead you to the answer to that question. Does that make sense?
That was super helpful. Yes, thank you. That was great.
Yeah. So that's how you do it, is using that phrase. And again, the beautiful thing about the brain, when you say the word, the truth is, the amygdala stops running the program and it turns to the prefrontal cortex and it says new information. That opens a space for your soul, your spirit, your heart to give you the answers that are already inside of you. And that's how you do it. And so this intention with clarity is what gives you focus. So if we have really changed our energy so that that focus comes back, that's the ABCs that we just did a minute ago, and we've got our amygdala kind of getting a new program, and now we get crystal clear with this new intention, with clear focus, and we now know what the root cause is. There's a whole new level of motivation to solve it. When your prefrontal cortex sends a signal to the amygdala and you calm down and you move into that good energy state, and then you really get clear about what's missing and you set an intention around that, your motivation goes through the roof. And you're probably already feeling it right now. Other questions? That was a great one, Jennifer, before we go to the third piece. Okay, so we altered our energy. It starts with that, ABCs. Now we've gotten clear and we're setting an intention. Well, my intention is I'm going to start networking. I'm going to make networking a priority, whatever it is. Now we simply have to build the habit of making moves rather than be in motion. One of the best pieces of research that I had is, I call it the athlete's advantage. Athletes, high school, collegiate, and professional athletes are 3 times more successful as entrepreneurs. And it is because they have trained their mind and their body to make moves rather than be in motion. Emotion is the act or process of moving. It's doing stuff. Oh, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, but I'm not getting anywhere. Making a move is to go from one place to another. I am attending this event because I'm looking for 3 new leads. I'm speaking on this podcast in order to introduce people to my business. And what you're doing is you're really breaking your day and your week into these priorities and making these small moves and dedicating time to doing them. If you find yourself busy and not going anywhere, you're making moves and you're not in motion. I mean, you're in motion and you're not making moves. Moves are action with intention. I am doing this so that I can solve that business challenge that we just identified. And so you break it down into these intentional moves that you're making that are about getting you to where you want to be. So just kind of let that sink in. This is powerful. Most of the time, entrepreneurs that are under 10K a month are busy. They're doing lots of stuff, but they're not making moves. They're in motion. And motion is the enemy of building a profitable business. So you want to be more efficient, more focused. And yeah, it's tactical, but it's the intention behind it, Leah. It's I'm doing this so that I can learn that. I'm doing this so that I can generate those new leads that I said that I wanted to make. So it's really being much more intentional with your actions. And basically, as you move through this, and incidentally, as you diagnosed where you were and you put these 3 steps in, this aim in, I want to give you a perspective. If you're in the 0 to 3, it's probably going to take you 12 to 18 months to break 10K. Now, we have had people who've done it in 6, but I would say it's probably going to be closer to 12 to break 10K if you're 0 to 3. But again, we've had people do it in 6, more than 1. If you are in Passion Pivot, it's absolutely, I say under 12, but it's probably under 6. We have had a lot of people that do the Passion Pivot in 3 to 6 months. Boom, the business is above 10K. But I kind of like to give people the worst case. If you're here, this business simple area, it's not an easy fix, but man, it's powerful. You get your life back, you get your time back, you get the profit in place. Almost always 6 months, occasionally a little bit more than that. If you're there, we'll have you above 10K. And if you're at that upper level, typically it's 3, 4, occasionally 6 months, you'll be above 10K. So just kind of set your expectation. These are worst case scenarios. Almost all of our members get there much more quickly than that. But that just kind of gives you something to chew on. So the last thing I want to close with, and then I'll take some questions, is what we call the 10K challenge. So choose your path, like know where you need to focus. Use that aim and those ABCs, get your energy right, start programming your brain so that you are focused and you're confident and you're feeling that sense of certainty. The ABCs that I showed you in step 1 of AIM, I promise you, if you do that 2 to 3 times a day for 2, 3, or 4 weeks, your brain will change and your nervous system will be under your command. You will feel confident. You will feel less anxious, but it takes building the new habit. Okay. So that's number 1. So what the Mission Possible 10K challenge is, if you're a ShiftCo member, you're going to email your mentor and you're going to email member TLC, and you're going to tell them you want to take the 10K challenge. That's all you got to say. We'll take care of the rest. You're going to be assigned to a specific coaching group, and we're going to accelerate the heck out of you. Doesn't matter where you are. I will personally be coaching you. We are going to break the 10K challenge in 3 to 6 months. You also are going to get to take the prosperity challenge, and Kelly Marshall is going to be teaching it. And if you know Kelly, she's amazing, so that you can get there faster. And so the coaching group with me is going to be working on the business, but you'll also be working on your energy and changing your brain with Kelly. So if you're a ShiftCo member, that's how it works. If you're not a ShiftCo member, if you do join, you will be included in the specific coaching group that I will personally be coaching you. And we will break the 10K challenge in 3 to 6 months. and I will bet you dinner, I'll bet you a bottle of wine that we can get you there. And quite honestly, it doesn't matter which of those levels you're at, because we're going to supercharge things and we're not playing small, and we're going to get there. And I'm going to personally be coaching you, which I don't do a lot of that anymore. But you'll also get to do the Prosperity Challenge to lead faster. Now, if you don't know, membership in ShiftCo is $235 a month. There's no long-term commitment. So you can try it for a month. If you don't like it, you can cancel. Very few people do, but you can. If you can't afford $235 a month, come attend our events. Get involved with our people. Get involved. There's tons and tons of free events. Keep doing those until you can afford it. We've had several members do that. But we would love to have you be part of our community, and would love to help you grow. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to answer, see if anybody has any questions that is here today, and we will go from there. So who has the first